you must get into trouble, do it at the Chateau Marmont, one Hollywood mogul in the 1930s had famously advised. By the end of the 1960s, getting into trouble had become an art form at the Chateau Marmont, particularly among the rock and roll legends who stayed there. Jim Morrison of the Doors was injured while unsuccessfully attempting to leap from the roof of the hotel into his room, and the drummer from Led Zeppelin rode his motorcycle through the lobby as onlookers cheered. The director Roman Polanski once commented about the Chateau Marmont that you can almost get stoned from sniffing the haze that seeps through the various keyholes. As a child, Tolly had little knowledge of what might be happening behind closed doors at her temporary home. She was more concerned with the problem of getting to school. Each morning she would wake up extra early and, without telling her parents, walk all the way to Gardner Elementary instead of taking the public bus. For some reason she felt unnerved on the bus and did anything to avoid it. As she strolled along Sunset Boulevard that sunny Wednesday morning, her skirt fluttered in the breeze and her pigtails flew this way and that. Her step was lively as her white Mary Janes tap-tap-tapped on the sidewalk. Tolly thought about all the fun she would have at recess playing dodgeball and spending time with her new friends. She had memorized her multiplication table the night before and felt confident that, if called upon, she could say 3 times 9 is 27 without a moment's hesitation. Tolly had no reason to doubt that this would be another lovely day. While quizzing herself, 3 times 7 is 21, 4 times 3 is 12, a car pulled up alongside her, momentarily interrupting her calculations. A nice-looking man peered out of the driver's window. "Come on in," he said kindly. "I'll give you a ride to school." Knowing she was never ever to speak to someone she didn't know, Tolly immediately responded, "I'm not allowed to talk to strangers," and with that she walked quickly on. "I'm not a stranger," said the soft-spoken man as he moved a pace with the young girl. "I know your parents." Tolly heard what the man said, but she decided not to pay him any attention. She continued on her way. "I have a beautiful picture to show you," he called out cheerfully. Thought Tolly. He knows Mommy and Daddy, and he has a pretty picture. "Come on," said the man congenially. "It'll be fun." Well, okay, Tolly said haltingly, and then lightheartedly hopped into the nice man's car. Once settled, the soft-spoken man asked, "What time does school start?" Tolly thought for a moment, looked at her watch, and then responded, "In about an hour." She felt proud that she could tell time as quickly as she could. She wondered if the man was aware of her accomplishment. "Good. There's time for you to see the poster. It's psychedelic, of forests and trees." Tolly was excited. She was not only getting a ride all the way to school, but was also about to see something beautiful. As they drove along, Tolly enjoyed the breeze from the open window. She felt lucky, too, that she didn't have to walk the long distance. But after a few minutes, she had the strange sensation that something wasn't quite right. The man kept looking over at her, but saying nothing. She thought about what she had done and wondered if maybe she had made a mistake. However, she knew she could always trust an adult. She really believed that. She tried to bury her anxiety right then and there. On September 25th, 1968, at a little past 8 o'clock in the morning, Donald Haynes was driving along Sunset Boulevard on his way to work. While pausing at a stop sign, he casually glanced out his window. There on the other side of the street, he watched a scenario unfold. A car was inching along, apace with a young girl. The driver leaned out his window and said something to the girl. The girl stopped, said something back to the driver, and then walked quickly on. The car continued trolling alongside the girl. A thought immediately popped into Haynes's head. Something weird is happening. The vehicle behind Haynes beeped, momentarily halting his rubbernecking activities. Forced to move, Haynes drove forward but pulled over to the curb to continue observing. After a few moments, he saw the child get into the car. In his gut, Haynes knew something was not right, but his rational mind flexed its muscle. Don't I have anything better to do than create sinister scenarios about random people? I should have my head examined. In spite of his doubts, Haynes decided to follow the vehicle.
to keep listening to this audiobook. I've left you a link in the description so you can do it at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.